Welcome to Our College, Your Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. When we did our first ever listener survey, one of the things that you told us you wanted to know or to hear were more stories from your colleagues. You want to get to know their Ivy Tech story and a little bit more about them. Well, I am pleased to bring you the first in what I hope will be a very long series of interviews with one of our fellow faculty and staff, Sherry Moore. Sherry's been at the college for many years, and this past year, she was a winner of the President's Award. And so I am excited to bring Sherry's story to you in her own words. You're going to listen in on a little conversation that we had on the day we actually discovered while we were recording it was our mutual birthday. So please meet my birthday buddy and your fellow colleague, Sherry Moore.
Hi, Sherry. Would you tell me your Ivy Tech story?
My Ivy Tech story. I began working for Ivy Tech about 13 years ago. As an adjunct faculty member, I started teaching sociology at the Noblesville campus and have been teaching ever since. And then I was able to get a full-time position in TRIO as a tutor coordinator, and I worked there for 7 years before I transitioned to the role of General Studies program chair.
Very good. So how long in total have you been with the college?
It's 12 years now, 12 years full-time.
Okay, very good, very good. What drew you to your academic discipline?
My academic discipline in terms of my education is I have my master's in social work from IU. And what drew me to that field was honestly working in the criminal justice system, because there was a particular case that really got me wondering, how can I help people to avoid becoming part of the criminal justice system? And that's what drew me to social work. And so that's after working for a while, I went back to school and pursued that area because I was really passionate about trying to help people not enter into the criminal justice system.
And how long did you work in criminal justice?
I think I would say about 10 years total. I've worked in human services in some capacity my whole life. So I've done everything from loss prevention to working in the prison system. I worked in the court system supervising adult felons. And then I did some community-based work and advocacy with housing, grant writing, things like that, but also worked with populations that were formerly incarcerated. So I have done it. I did it for quite a while, say at least 10 years.
Wow, that's amazing. And then you lead the general education program here in the Indianapolis campus. So you talked a little bit about your career path here at Ivy Tech, but can you talk a little bit more about that work and what it means?
As the department chair of general studies and liberal arts, I have the fortunate opportunity to help students to figure out what it is that they want to do at Ivy Tech. Oftentimes students just truly don't know. And I was one of those students in college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I tried to date accounting for a while, but we had to break up because it just didn't work out. But that was strictly accounting's fault, not mine at all.
Did you say I tried to date accounting for a little while?
I did. I asked accounting out. I actually did it 3 times, to be honest. And the first 2 times it was a total, I got left with a check.
Right.
You know, the date just didn't work out. But The third time it worked out and we parted ways with the B-. But what I took from that was that accounting was not what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And noticed that I kept gravitating towards pathways that involved things like sociology, social sciences. And so that's what I ended up getting in undergrad, was a double major in sociology and criminal justice.
Excellent. I love that description. I'm going to figure out a way to adapt that into my own narrative because that's fabulous. You talked about how students often are trying to figure out what they want to do. Tell me a little bit about because the general studies degree, as you know firsthand, takes a lot of abuse. Tell me a success story where that degree has meant the world to a student.
There was a student who she just didn't know what she wanted to do. She had difficulty with making a decision. Returning student who was older And she was like, I need to figure out what to do with my life when I grow up. So I told her, me too, so we'll figure it out together. But general studies gave her the chance to explore. She knew she wanted to start a business. She knew she liked helping people, but she was also interested in a couple of areas. So what we did was we sat down and we built a degree. So she knew she wanted to get some human services stuff. We put a couple of those classes in. We put some early childhood classes in because she knew she was interested in opening a daycare. And I also had her take a couple of entrepreneurship classes because she wanted to have a business. And so we were able to build the degree to give her the foundation that she needed because she was able to go into her career path with just the associate degree. And then she did not intend on going any further. So I wanted to make sure that she had a well-rounded foundation, and she was very grateful for that and let me know that she opened her daycare, and her daycare is currently very successful. So that gave her the opportunity to make it look like what she wanted it to look like because there was no other degree that she could truly do that with.
That's wonderful. And that's a perfect use of the general studies degree. That's awesome. I think I interrupted you as you were telling your story about what drew you to your academic discipline.
That was ultimately what drew me to social work was a particular case that I worked on, and just seeing so many people being incarcerated, but particularly young adults. That was very concerning to me. I had a particular case with a 16-year-old who there were so many things that failed him. The education system failed him. He had a very difficult childhood, and he seemed to be lost or forgotten in so many different ways. And I had the opportunity to work with him. And what I enjoyed the most about that case was that because I had the power of the court behind me, and I was court ordered to supervise him when he was released, he started skipping school. And so I actually got to go to his school and sit behind him in class, which totally freaked him out in one way. But in the other way, you could tell that it was something that he needed because he didn't skip school again because I told him I would come back. But I also had him come to my office and do his homework, do things like that. He was definitely behind in school. He was a child who nobody seemed to notice he hadn't been attending. The school system didn't want him. The parent overburdened with working multiple jobs, all of that, in essence. It was just so many factors that I began to wonder, how can I impact the system behind all of this, which is where my interest in social work came in. And that young man ended up getting sentenced to 20 years in prison. He ended up being convicted. He ended up being sentenced to 20 years in prison for something that, quite honestly, even many involved admitted they didn't think he actually did. And so that kind of sparked an interest in me to have a seat at the table and to have a more direct impact in people's outcomes. And so that's where I began my journey into social work and into kind of counseling and working with people. And so that's kind of what sparked that interest in me in social work. I like sociology. I like understanding systems. And so that's where that foundation came from.
Excellent. What drives your passion? What gets you out? It's very clear from just listening to you, and you and I have had a lot of we've had a lot of good opportunity to have some conversation the last couple of weeks. But what drives your passion? What gets you going every day?
So many people helped me along the way, and the ability and desire to give back is what drives me. And I will say I thought about this question for quite a while because I was like, okay, in a way it sounds like kind of a cheesy question, but Then it's literally like what drives me every day is that there were those who did not have to help me. And when you take a journey of gratitude and really stop to think about all the different ways that people help you, there's so many people that cross your path that do small things that they never even think about that have made such a huge difference. And so I would say that that truly drives me to have that impact and to be able to pay it forward in essence.
You work here in Indianapolis, so we're in the same general vicinity. What makes the Indianapolis campus special?
The Indianapolis campus has a vast and diverse student population, which truly exemplifies the aspect of community in community college. So I enjoy interacting with people from all walks of life, but all different age ranges, people who bring all different levels of experience, but also having the opportunity to learn from my students because they bring so much knowledge to the classroom that I truly respect and enjoy. So those things I think is really amazing about the Indianapolis campus because we are in essence the size of a lot of universities or much bigger than many universities, in fact. So a lot of people are like, well, it's so big. I said, but there's an intimacy here that I do enjoy when you walk through the hallways and you can smile at the students and people know who you are. And that is something that to me really exemplifies community in that community college aspect.
What college or statewide initiatives or programs are you participating in or have you participated in the past?
I have participated in, I'm trying to think what I haven't participated in. That might be easier for me.
That might be easier.
I am very big on diversity. So I participate a lot on initiatives and programs related to diversity, as well as to student retention, completion. So those are probably the main ones. I'm also very active with lots of other committees, and I tend to get voluntold to do things sometimes because I open my mouth and come up with an idea, and then, people like my provost looks at me and says, so Sherry, you can do that.
Yeah, that never happens here.
Yeah, that never happens. So I'm very, very active with different committees and initiatives, but I would say diversity is kind of an area I'm passionate with. So I'm really involved in a lot of aspects as it relates to diversity and diversity initiatives on our campus.
Good. What are you trying in your classroom this year that you're enjoying? Something new or something you're just finding exciting?
Well, I'm being a little sneaky.
Okay.
Because I'm adding announcements and assignment reminders, college event information, et cetera, into discussion boards. I call them instructor tidbits. So it's might add a source for a discussion board, like take a look at this video or something like that. And then kind of midweek, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, I pop up with, as a reminder, the graduation fair is, October 17th or what have you, just to get it in front of students' faces versus just putting it in the announcements. And I've noticed that adding an audio or even a video feedback also, they seem to get watched more. And then students also giving them the ability to post their own videos. Some students enjoy doing that, some don't, but it does help with the interaction in the discussion boards. And it's my sneaky way of, assignment due dates, reminders, things like that. I put them wherever I can, everything but a bat signal.
I love that. If we could figure out how to do bat signals, we'd do it too, wouldn't we?
Yes.
How would you like to see us as in Ivy Tech get better?
Stronger usage of faculty and staff credentials and alumni accomplishments on the website so that the students and the Indianapolis community can see us and how qualified we are in the amazing work that we do. I also think it contributes to that sense of belonging for employees. I think it's a great idea for a student to be able to look on their degree page, select Indianapolis or another campus, and be able to see the pictures of their faculty, be able to read that this person has a PhD or in whatever, that they won a research award. It to me adds validity to the fact that we do have an amazing team of people here to help students be successful.
I love that idea. That's fantastic. We need to figure out how to get that done. That's great.
See how that happens.
I know. Now that one I didn't just turn around and say, well, Sherry, that's a great idea. You should just do that. I do think I have some ownership in that one, but that is a good one. I'm going to keep that in my mental list too to see if I can help move it forward. So I love it. Any questions you want to ask me?
As provost, if you could change one thing about Ivy Tech, what would it be?
And you've actually already alluded to it. One thing that drives me crazy, and I don't think anybody ever does it intentionally, I think they just don't feel what I want to change, which is I want to empower people more. And I want people to know where they are empowered to make change. Is I think people will sometimes just bring an idea to you and drop it at your feet. Like, here's this thing I think you should do. Time is our most valuable and precious resource. And I am reminded of that every day by friends and family who are dealing with chronic or even quite possibly life-ending illnesses. And so we all only have the same, this finite amount of time. We don't know where it ends, but we choose how we use it. And so if you're going to put something out there, you've got to be willing to take action on it and to be willing to put your own skin in the game. We can't do things alone either, but I really do wish more people knew they were empowered to take action, felt empowered to take action, and really were empowered to take action. And I think there's sort of 3 different columns of that we got to work on as an institution. But if I could wave a magic wand, that is the one I would probably wave over the college to give people more power over their day, to know what they can and can't do, and to feel confident in that.
Nice. I like that.
Thank you. And thank you for asking. I appreciate that. All right, lightning round. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Favorite food?
Seafood.
Ooh, anything in particular? I do love seafood.
Oh, goodness. Crab, lobster, shrimp.
All the good stuff.
I love all kinds of seafood. Yes, I particularly like just all kinds of fish. And yes, seafood in general. I really, really love seafood.
Awesome. Very good. Best book you've read or something recent you've read that's on your mind?
Dare to Lead by Brené Brown.
We've actually talked about that when we're going to do it as the book club study here on the podcast shortly, and I'm hoping you'll help out with that a little bit.
Yes, definitely. It's a book that I recommend, that I give to people that I mentor on campus, and I'm on my 3rd read of it, dissecting it, because there's so many different aspects of it that are really meaningful.
I need to reread it a second time, but I think I could probably read it 3 or 4. There's a lot in it. It's a very rich book.
Yes.
Favorite television show?
Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Oh, very good. That's been on for a long
I'm an Olivia
time.
Benson fan.
Okay, very good. Good, strong female character.
Yes.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
I'm definitely a Trekkie.
Okay.
Definitely a Trekkie. I'm holding up the finger thing. I'm a definite.
Yeah, I can't see. You didn't turn your video on, but I understand. All right. Favorite song, album, or artist?
Okay, I struggle with this one because I don't have one.
Okay.
I like everything from Aretha Franklin to Linkin Park. It just depends on what mood I'm in. So I could not think of one particular song or one particular artist, because I even looked at my various playlists, and they're very diverse in music.
I'm the same way. I don't have a favorite. Now, I know that you listen to our College Your Voices. I also know you're a podcast listener. What are your favorite podcasts?
I like the NPR Life Kit podcast. There's also I started listening to 1619.
So good.
From the New York Times. So
yes.
I started listening to that podcast, and there are a couple of others. Sometimes I was looking at the comedy one, and then a lot of them honestly have to do with learning because I'm in school. So like I have one on dissertation and thesis writing. So I do listen to a lot of education related learning podcasts.
Very good. What are you studying? I know you're getting your PhD.
Yes, in urban education studies with the doctoral minor in social work.
Outstanding. Very good. And that's from IUPUI, right?
Yes.
Your best classroom tip or trick?
Utilize a midterm check-in module, showing the point breakdown before midterm and the point breakdown after midterm. So I have a list of assignments with the point breakdown, and then I show like after midterm. So right after I post midterm grades, I open this module so that students can have a realistic perception of this is where they are, and this is like, look at how many points you have left. Because a lot of times our classes are weighted heavier towards the back end.
Yep.
And so I want students to understand, like, I don't want you to give up because you still have, there's 60% or 70% of the points still left in this class. And then I include a check-in with the instructor notice so that they can contact me via Zoom, phone to discuss course progress.
That is a great idea. I did an individual email to each student at midterm and reinforced that idea of there's still a lot left. But I love the idea of building it as a module. I didn't even think of that. That's a great idea.
Module and adding a calculator.
Yeah.
a calculator link in that module so that
Yeah.
they can calculate, like, here's how you calculate your percentage. And
Yeah.
so that you have a realistic, it's probably not as bad as you think it is.
Right.
So I've noticed that students have remarked that they appreciated that because it gave them a realistic perspective.
That is a great idea. I love it. Very good. Any social media or contact info you want to share?
I'm not a humongous social media person,
Okay.
But my contact information, my email address is smore170@ivtech.edu. And feel free to contact me about general studies, liberal arts. I have people contact me that I meet in, Burger King who want to come to Ivy Tech. I give out a lot of cards. So definitely reach out if you have any questions about general studies, and I will be happy to assist.
Excellent. Sherry, thank you so much. And have a wonderful rest of your day and your week.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed listening in on the conversation that Sherry and I had. Every episode, as you know, ends with a call to action. And Sherry's pretty right when she says that when we run into each other, one or the other of us has an idea. And I almost always end up trying to figure out how to help Sherry move an idea forward because she has great ones. And I want that to be the call to action to each of you from this episode. If you have an idea, share it with somebody that you think could help you move that idea forward. It might not be theirs to do, but they may be able to help you put a little more shine on it, move it a little farther, a little step farther along to make Ivy Tech a better place, because that is what we are all here to do. Thanks to Sherry. I hope you'll reach out and connect with her. She has a great story and she's a truly inspiring person, and I love chatting with her. Thanks as always for joining this episode of Our College, Your Voices. Again, thanks to Sherry. And if you would have any interest in being interviewed for one of these episodes, the questions are the same. You'll start to hear several of these over the next few months. We have a few recorded and we'll get them released one at a time as we need space, and maybe occasionally some special ones on Tuesdays or Wednesdays as a special surprise in your feed. So if you would be willing to share your Ivy Tech story with me on the podcast, please reach out. Again, I'm your host, Kara Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at KNMTweets. Our producer is Ann Penny Valentine. Ann is on Twitter at IndyPenny. You can reach us by email anytime at ourcollegeyourvoices@ivytech.edu, or leave us a voicemail at 317-572-5049. Don't forget that if you're an Ivy Tech faculty or staff member, we have the Microsoft Teams listener community available for you. We actually just announced the winners of our first drawing. If you remember the Flower Derby episode from a few weeks back, we've just given away copies of Flower's book to 5 people. So that just took place in the Teams community, and those books got shipped out today. So join that Microsoft Teams community. You just go into Microsoft Teams, go down to the Join Teams button, and find the Our College, Your Voices listener community. Our website is ivytech.edu/podcast. Production assistance is provided, as always, by Becky Campbell, Sarah DeWitt, and the Ivy Tech Community College marketing team. And our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. Theme music, recording, and post-production services provided by the amazing Jen Eads at the Brasi Broadcasting Company, who is putting this episode together while she's attending, I think, the She Podcast Conference in Atlanta. And we can't wait to hear more about that. So Jen, thanks for everything you do for us. We will talk to you next time on Our College, Your Voices.